Do you remember where you were? November 2006. It feels like a lifetime ago, because it was. But the feeling, the specific electricity in the air, that is happening again, right now. Let me take you back for a second. George W. Bush is in the White House. The Iraq War is, well, it's not going great. Katrina had just happened the year before. The approval ratings are in the basement. They are digging through the floorboards of the basement. But the Republican Party, the machine, they were confident. They were strutting. Karl Rove, the architect, remember him? He was walking around Washington with a whiteboard and a marker telling anyone who would listen that the Senate was a fortress. He had the math. He said the Democrats might take the House, but the Senate? Impossible. The map was too red, the incumbents were too safe, the money was too big, and then election night happened, Virginia happened, Montana happened, Jim Webb happened, and the fortress crumbled. The firewall didn't just crack, it evaporated. Democrats didn't just win, they swept. They took the House, they took the Senate, they took the governor's mansions. It was a complete repudiation, a total wash. The next day, President Bush had to stand in front of the press corps. He looked shell-shocked. He looked like he had seen a ghost. And he used a word that went down in history. He said, "We took a thumpin', a thumpin'." Now, fast forward 20 years. Look at the calendar. It is 2026. And if you listen closely, if you put your ear to the ground, you can hear the exact same sound coming down the tracks, the same rumble. We have a Republican Party that is technically, on paper, confident. They have the maps, they have the gerrymandering, they have the super PACs, they have the loudest megaphone in the history of media, but behind closed doors, in the private strategy sessions, in the encrypted group chats, they are terrified. They are looking at the numbers and they are not seeing a fortress. They are seeing a house of cards. And they know that the wind is picking up. Because the narrative in 2006 was the Senate is impossible until it wasn't. The narrative in 2026 is the Democrats can't hold on until they do. Eugene Robinson said it best. The parallels are not just similar, they are spooky. The script is the same. The actors have changed, sure, but the plot is a carbon copy. And the reason they are terrified isn't just because of the math. It's not just because the polls are tightening in swing states. It is because the call is coming from inside the House, literally. Top Republicans are not just whispering about a loss. They are screaming about a bloodbath. They are using words like slaughter and disaster. And they aren't saying this to Democrats. They are saying it to each other. Why? What do they see that we don't? What is in those internal polls that has seasoned GOP operatives sweating through their suits in the middle of winter? We found out. And trust me, you're going to want to hear this. Here's the thing about political parties. They are designed, engineered, really, to project strength. Even when the ship is sinking, even when the water is up to their necks, their job is to stand on the deck and say, everything is fine, the band is playing beautifully. That is rule number one. So when you see that rule broken, when you see the people steering the ship run to the lifeboat screaming, you pay attention. Because right now, the Republican Party is breaking rule number one. And they are doing it loudly. This isn't a Democratic talking point. This isn't MSNBC analysis. This is coming straight from the top floor of the Republican National Committee. According to Axios, and this is reporting based on private polling, the numbers they don't show on Fox News, top GOP strategists are panicked, not worried, not concerned, panicked. They are looking at the House where they hold this razor-thin majority and they see it evaporating, gone. But that's not the headline. The headline is the Senate. The Senate was supposed to be the prize. The Senate was supposed to be the checkmate. And now they are terrified they are going to lose control of the Senate too. But wait, it gets more specific. Meet Joe Gruthers. You might not know the name, but you know the boss. Gruthers is the Trump hand-picked RNC chair. He isn't a rhino. He isn't a never-Trumper. He was chosen for loyalty. He was chosen to hold the line. And what is he saying? Is he saying victory is ours? No. He went to the bulwark on the record and predicted, quote, doom. He called it a pending looming disaster. He said the party is facing almost certain defeat. He said the chances of Republicans will go down and will go down hard. Let me read that again. Go down hard. This is the chairman of the party. In an election year, usually you see something called expectation setting. You say, oh, it's going to be a tough race, so that when you win by 1 point, you look like a genius. This isn't expectation setting. This is a distress signal. This is Mayday. Why? Because the issues that were supposed to be their silver bullets, immigration and the economy, have turned into lead weights. Axios reports that GOP strategists now admit these are political liabilities. The very things Donald Trump ran on in 2024 are the very things dragging them underwater in 2026. They built their entire strategy on anger, on the border, on inflation, and now the data is telling them it's not working anymore. The voters aren't buying it, the independents are walking away, and the Republicans know it. They can see the iceberg, but they can't turn the ship because the captain won't let them touch the wheel. But if you really want to understand the anatomy of this disaster, if you want to see exactly how a red wave turns into a red funeral, you have to look at one state, one specific battlefield where the entire theory of the MAGA movement is colliding with reality. We have to go to Georgia. You remember Georgia, right? The state that broke the dam in 2020, the state that delivered the Senate majority on a silver platter twice. Well, Georgia is doing it again, but this time it's not just about turnout. It's about the argument. It's about the message. Meet the laboratory. Because down in Georgia, Senator Jon Ossoff is running for re-election. And on paper, in the old political world, he should be toast. He's a Democrat in a state Donald Trump carried in 2024. He is supposed to be the most vulnerable incumbent in the country. The Republicans had this seat circled in red ink before the year even started. But something strange is happening, something the consultants didn't model. Ossoff isn't playing defense. He isn't apologizing. He isn't trying to out-Republican the Republicans. He is doing something much more dangerous. He is taking the MAGA brand, the whole populist costume, the working man's champion routine, and he is setting it on fire. Did you hear what he said? Did you catch the specific language? He didn't just call them bad on policy. He didn't just say we disagree on taxes. He said this is a government of, by, and for the ultra-wealthiest cabinet ever. And then he dropped the hammer. He called them the Epstein Class. The Epstein Class. Think about that. Think about the visceral reaction that phrase provokes. It cuts through the noise. It bypasses the brain and hits you right in the gut. It frames the entire opposition not as conservatives, but as elites, as predators, as the very people the MAGA base claims to despise. He is saying, they told you they were for the working class. You remember that? And look at who they actually are. It is a devastatingly simple argument. It is the kind of argument that makes consultants nervous because it sounds too raw, but it is working. The Atlanta Journal-Constitution reports that Ossoff is seizing the offensive. Senior Democrats are looking at the numbers and realizing this isn't a defensive hold anymore. It's a race tilting in his favor. Even influential Republicans in Georgia are whispering that the momentum has shifted. Why? Because when you strip away the culture war, when you strip away the noise about Mr. Potato Head or whatever they are angry about this week, what is left? Economics, betrayal. The voters in Georgia, the ones who maybe voted for Trump because they wanted to shake things up, are looking at their grocery bills. They are looking at the tax cuts for billionaires. And then they hear Jon Ossoff say, these guys are the Epstein class. And it clicks. It is the political equivalent of pointing out the emperor has no clothes. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. But the problem for the Republicans isn't just that the Democrats have found a sharp knife. The problem is that the Republican Party is too busy fighting itself to put up a shield. Because while Ossoff is unifying his message, the other side is a circular firing squad. Stuart Stevens, he is not a liberal. He is not a squish. He is a guy who spent his career electing Republicans in the South. He knows how the sausage is made. He knows how to win. And when he looks at his old party right now, when he looks at the machinery that used to deliver majorities, he sees a mess. He sees chaos. He calls it the most fascinating moment in American political history, because usually a political party tries to add voters. That is the whole point. Addition, multiplication. The modern GOP, they are doing subtraction. They are doing division. Look at Georgia again. In 2021, Republicans lost 2 Senate seats on the same day. Stuart Stevens called it winning the World Series with 4 perfect games. It was impossible. It shouldn't have happened. But it happened because the party was at war with itself. Trump was telling people the election was rigged, so why bother voting? He suppressed his own turnout. And now it is happening again, but worse. Marjorie Taylor Greene, the poster child for MAGA, the ultimate loyalist. Even she is out there saying that parts of the movement are a lie. She is fighting with her own side. She is splitting the base. When you have your loudest cheerleaders telling the fans that the game is rigged, the fans stop showing up. And then there are the messengers. In politics, you need a messenger people actually want to invite into their living rooms. You need someone likable. Instead, who is the face of the party right now? Stephen Miller, Tom Homan, Kristi Noem. These are people who do not attract new voters. They repel them. They are the people who make independent voters change the channel. And the message? The message is everything is terrible and it's all your fault. But here's the trap. This is the part that is truly Shakespearean. In a normal party, when you lose, you do an autopsy. You say, we messed up, we went too far, let's pivot. But in Trump's GOP, you cannot pivot. You cannot admit a mistake, because admitting a mistake is seen as weakness. It is seen as disloyalty to the leader. So they are boxed in. They are trapped in a room with no doors. They have to keep doubling down on the same losing strategy over and over again, because the only alternative is to cross Donald Trump. And Trump, he demands total loyalty. He demands you kiss the ring. But what does he give in return? A tweet, a social media post. He doesn't give money. He doesn't build infrastructure. He gives you a thumbs up on Truth Social and then leaves you to die on the battlefield. His support is contingent on you doing exactly what he says, but his help is non-existent. So you have candidates who are broke, angry, and terrified of their own base. They are running on a message that failed in 2020, failed in 2022, and failed in 2024. And they are looking at the cliff. They know it's there, but they are marching toward it anyway because they have nowhere else to go. And who is waiting for them at the bottom of that cliff? The voters they forgot about. Here's the secret. The one thing that keeps the smartest political operatives awake at night. We talk about Democrats, we talk about Republicans, we talk about this binary choice like it's a coin flip every 2 years. But we are missing the biggest political party in America. It's not the Libertarians, it's not the Green Party, it's the Independents. And right now, if you look at the crosstabs of every major poll coming out of the swing states, Donald Trump isn't just losing independents, he is getting obliterated by them. Stuart Stevens put it bluntly, throw the MAGA voters out of the poll. Why? Because they are static. They are not moving. They are locked in a room with the lights off. But the independents, they are looking for a door. They are tired of the chaos. They are tired of the noise. And most importantly, they are tired of being told that the economy is great when their rent is skyrocketing and then being told it's all the fault of immigrants, which brings us to the final nail in the coffin, Hispanic voters. For years, the Republican fantasy was that Hispanic voters were naturally conservative. Family values, hard work, religion. They thought, this is our future. And then they spent 4 years screaming about deportations. They spent 4 years demonizing the border. And now look at Georgia. When Georgia flips blue, and it does flip, it happens because Hispanic voters are breaking for Democrats in numbers that defy history. You cannot win a national election by telling the fastest growing demographic in the country that you want to send paramilitary squads into their neighborhoods. It turns out people don't vote for the party that promises to hunt them down. Who knew? So here we are, 2026. The map looks like 2006. The panic looks like 2006. The Republican leadership knows it. The data shows it. The Epstein Class attacks are landing. The base is fracturing. The independents are walking away. The only question left is, will they try to stop the train, or will they just close their eyes and brace for impact? My guess, they're going to take the thumping again. And when the dust settles, don't say nobody warned them. The call was coming from inside the house the whole time. Watch this space.